going on, Jerome? So we talk about the Minnesota Fighting Vikings defensive line and needing the meats, but also what about the other side of the trench? The offensive line, where the Vikings, for years, since the Vikings have gone to the outside zone scheme, it's just like, I kind of miss the days of 350-pound dudes on the interior. Like, I miss David Dixon, and I miss all the plus-size guards. I miss Matt Burke. I miss not being able to beat push tail around up front, right? And the Vikings offensive line has the pieces. I feel like there is a lot of reasons for positivity up front. Notably, Christian Darrisaw has the potential to be a future franchise left tackle. We've seen it in spurts. Brian O'Neill is still a rock-solid right tackle, even though he's getting up there in age. Garrett Bradbury, under the new regime, new offensive line coach Chris Cooper, he could be a top 12-ish center on a given day. Hopefully that back holds up. And at the guard spots, even though Ed Ingram, who's heading to year 3, a 2-year starter at right guard, has been a habitual footstepper, it seems like there's legitimate competition at the guard spots, with Blake Brandel being brought back on a 3-year deal, Dalton Reisner being brought back, as well as Ed Ingram's right guard spot being up for competition as well. So, I mean, the Vikings, they do have the makings of a very decent modern offensive line, right? And hopefully things can get sutured up, because the running game is important, as well as obviously protecting Darnold/McCarthy is going to be paramount for the Vikings' success moving forward. Long story longer, Pro Football Focus, Zoltan, the writer over there, did up a 2024 NFL offensive line rankings, and the Vikings, they did better than you would expect, but of course a lot of it is Darrisaw and O'Neill really bumping things up. Again, the Vikings offensive line, it's interesting because the tackles are amazing. Interior, so it's like having the most amazing, like, toasted ciabatta bread on the outside of a sandwich, and then the inside it's cat poop. But hopefully that cat poop can at least become, I don't know, chicken salad. Can we do that one time? Put some prosciutto on there. I don't know, man. But PFF's rankings put the Vikings 13. Although left tackle Christian Darrisaw was not able to replicate his breakout 2022 campaign, he still finished 2023 as the third highest grade offensive tackle in pass protection, despite battling injuries. While the interior trio of Dalton Reisner, Garrett Bradbury, Ed Ingram is average at best, the offensive tackle duo of Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill makes the Vikings line an above average unit. Above average unit. And yeah, Brian O'Neill can still do the damn thing. And also, it's interesting that the Vikings offensive line is ahead of the Packers. Even though they see that Bakhtiari leaving as a negative, dude hasn't played in like 4 years. But I do respect the hell out of Elton Jenkins, Zach Tom, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. But look at the rest of the list. So obviously the Lions are at 1, and you really do have to respect what the Lions have done. I mean, their offensive line is amazing, and they lost Jonah Jackson to a major deal to the Rams, and they're still good to go because they brought in Zeitler. But yeah, Penei Sewell, Frank Ragnow, the pride of Chanhassen. I mean, you have to respect that. It's really damn good. Eagles at 2, even with losing Jason Kelce, because they drafted Cam Jurgens in the second round a couple years ago. That's how you replace things up front and just get after things. Or, I don't know, maybe Landon Dickerson will move to center. Who knows? I wanted Dickerson so bad coming out of Florida. Well, it was Florida State, and then he was actually teammates with Dalvin back in the day, and then played at Alabama. Colts, Browns. Again, Kwesi coming from the Browns, like, he understands that that's how they built that team. They invested significant capital up front. They paid a lot of dudes as well. You're bringing Conklin as a free agent. So it's just like, come on, man. And I understand that our time is going to come and you can't rebuild a full roster in one off season. But, the Vikings interior offensive line, the Vikings interior defensive line next off season with all that free agent money. Let's go, man. Jets, really, at 5. Well, I mean, you bring in old-ass Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses. I mean, sure, but how has that all of a sudden become top 5? Nah. Falcons is interesting. So, obviously, Chris Lindstrom is a stud, but everyone else, no. Not so much. I don't understand it. Chiefs at 7. I feel like the Chiefs are even underrated, because Jumpin' Joe Thuney, you made him the highest paid guard in NFL history. You got Creed, you got Smith as well. So I mean, it's pretty good, even though they've just had a gong show at the tackle spots. Bills, let's focus. All right, so the Bears at 11. So I get like Darnell Wright is solid. Tevin Jenkins kicking inside the pride of Oklahoma State has been good, but I feel like they're just massively overhyping the Bears. I mean, the Bears are getting Detroit Lions hype from last year, but I don't think that the Bears can back it up. I think they're a couple years away. Packers at 14, like we said, blah, blah, blah. Actually, who's the worst? The worst. Titans at 30. Well, that's gonna swing around really quick because they do have Callahan there as a great offensive line coach, and Skoronski is a great pickup from last year. J.C. Latham moving to the blind side is going to be great, so I think they'll be good. Oh, also the Brown and Cushenberry. Shoot, how are the Titans 30? I mean, I understand this list is basically just a compilation of PFF grades from last year, but again, you do have Callahan coming in as the father of Brian Callahan, the new head coach, and again, Bill Callahan is one of the best offensive line coaches in the game. That has to factor in. It's ridiculous. 31 Seahawks. I mean, if Cross can step up, maybe. Sure, yeah. But the Saints at 32. Saints got a rough, man. So Talisa Fuaga, who I love forever, is going to be a stud. But Ramczyk getting hurt, Trevor Penning being Garbaggio. So, yeah. It's gonna be, I mean, I feel like the Saints have all the elements of being maybe one of the worst teams in NFL history. The bad offensive line. I mean, the defense is solid, but then you got Derek Carr. You're just tethered to him with that contract. I mean, they should have rolled with Jameis, to be honest, but it sort of is what it is. But no, like the Titans at 30, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous, man. Also, the Patriots 28. Outside of Onwenu, there isn't much there. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really worried about Drake May, because he's going to have to play right away. Jabroni Brisket ain't it. And, Drake needs protection, and he needed time to marinate. Like I said, Drake May ending up here with the Vikings would have made a lot of sense. But the Patriots, I'm worried, man. And also the Commies. So you notice how they fluffed up the Bears' offensive line because of Caleb Williams. But, realistically, the Commies and the Patriots are down here, probably where they should be. Yeah, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough either way. But overall, again, PFF is weird with the Vikings offensive line because they rated the Vikings O-line as one of the best in 2022 when just eyeball test, you could see that it wasn't, right? And I feel like the love for Darrisaw and O'Neal does bump up this line quite a bit. But one of the things that is going to set things apart is, can you get quality caliber players from this guard competition? I mean, they're going to roll with Bradbury no matter what. But Brandel, Reisner, Ed Ingram, can the Vikings find two decent guards out of that mix? Maybe Feeney and Michael Juergens get in there too. It's possible. But either way, this is the best I felt about the Vikings offensive line in a long time, which isn't saying a lot, but the pieces are there. And maybe next offseason really hammer things home. Make Creed Humphrey the highest paid center in NFL history and then go from there. But your thoughts are thoughts. PFF ranks the Vikings offensive line a little bit better than you think. 13th best in the league. Let us know your thoughts on our thoughts and their thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.